Hey, good morning, everybody. We talk so much about what might happen if Donald Trump would be elected, but here we are now talking about some of the fallout from his election. And on Sunday evening, Donald Trump announced that his chief strategist in the White House will be a man named Stephen Bannon. It was the first announcement he made for staffers, and it's a clear signal that we don't have to wait and see who Trump values most in the world or whether or not he will become a new version of himself once he gets inaugurated. If I had to create a list of despicable human beings, Bannon would likely be number one on that list. He is an immoral, unethical, crass, vulgar, sexist, abusive, white supremacist, white nationalist, anti-Semitic, xenophobic bigot. His list of offenses is vast and well documented. Liberals and many conservatives alike have all said that this appointment is genuinely dangerous, and I agree. It was just 3 months ago that Trump shocked the political world and made Bannon, who was the president of the trashy conservative media company Breitbart Media, when Trump made him the CEO of his campaign. But the notion that such a divisive and problematic man will now be the chief strategist for the highest office in our land is alarming. By alarming, I mean terrifying. Nothing about Bannon or his character qualifies him for such a position. I seriously doubt that he would be hired as a chief strategist for a single Fortune 500 company in America. Hell, he'd struggle to be hired anywhere. His record is that problematic. He was charged with beating his wife. Out of their divorce, we strangely learned how much he hates Jews. It appears that everywhere he goes, he scares the hell out of his employees. In the early 90s, Bannon was working for the Biosphere Project in Arizona, and the company lost a lawsuit because he threatened to assault a female employee there. Ben Shapiro, a conservative who worked for him for years, said, and I quote, "Many former employees of Breitbart News are afraid of Steve Bannon. He is a vindictive, nasty figure, infamous for verbally abusing friends and enemies. He will attempt to ruin anybody who impedes his unending ambition," end of quote. And I could end right there. All of that should be enough to disqualify Bannon and send him back to Breitbart without a pass to the White House and access to more information and power than any man like him should ever have. But that's not the full extent of who he is and why so many of us are deeply concerned. The man's a bigot. And under his reign and by his own admission, Breitbart Media has become the platform for what they now call the alt-right. That sounds simple and harmless, but it's neither. The phrase alt-right was coined by one of the most bigoted, racist, white supremacists in America named Richard Spencer. He was called a symbol of the new white supremacy by the Anti-Defamation League. The Southern Poverty Law Center called him a suit and tie version of the white supremacists of old, a kind of professional racist in khakis. Former KKK Grand Wizard David Duke has openly celebrated the appointment of Bannon as chief strategist for Donald Trump. Stephen Bannon is so extreme, listen to this, that the chairman of the American Nazi Party said his appointment by Trump, quote, "surprised me. I thought that his stable of Washington insiders would have objected too strongly." They didn't. They've lost all moral courage. And instead, conservatives are contorting themselves to find ways to justify the unjustifiable. Charlie Pierce, the longtime political columnist for Esquire, issued a scathing critique on the whole thing and said that Trump's hiring of Stephen Bannon is the same as hiring David Duke. I agree. This hiring is not rhetorical or symbolic. It's dangerous, and it's a setback for our nation. I'm hard-pressed to find a single man as bigoted and as extreme as him who has had a position in the White House in my lifetime. And for all the hot air that's been given over the past 48 hours on Bannon's white nationalism and bigotry, we're already seeing one immediate impact by his appointment. Nazis and white supremacists are elated. They feel empowered. In Bannon, they feel like they have a champion. And I'll close with this. While Donald Trump may publicly pledge to be president for all people, his hiring of Bannon signals his true intentions. Bannon has never represented all people, not a single day in his life. He has been a hateful, mean-spirited bigot for years. Before he was ever a public figure, he was a destructive force to everyone around him, be they his own employees at Breitbart, young scientists at the biosphere, or his own wife and children. I would not have trusted Donald Trump even without this appointment. With it, it has confirmed my worst fears about what his presidency will mean to my family and yours and to millions of us who will soon find ourselves in his crosshairs.